Hello students, today we will focus our study on the study of joints in the mechanical assemblies. Joints in the mechanical assemblies. We can classify the joints as number one, temporary joints, and second one as permanent joints. Temporary joints are the joints which can be easily dismantled, without damaging the assembled parts, without damaging the assembled parts. For example, we have knuckle joint. It can be easily dismantled. We have quarter joint. We have threaded joints or the bolted joints. These are some examples of the temporary joints. These joints can be dismantled without damaging the assembled parts. Second one is permanent joints. So it is just reverse of that. They cannot be easily dismantled. They can be dismantled only after damaging the assembled parts. So they cannot be easily dismantled without damaging the assembled parts. So dismantling results in damaging of assembled parts. That's why they are known as permanent joints. Examples are riveted joints, welded joints, okay. So we will study both of them in our syllabus. So first one is riveted joints. So let's have a look on the shape of the rivet. So rivet is just like it contains a rivet head and it is having a body. It is also known as shank and it is the rivet head. It is the rivet head. So I am having the first plate over here. So this is the first plate having thickness T1, the second plate having thickness T2, and this remaining portion, so this is T1, T2 and the remaining portion is small e. So total length of the rivet can be written as L equal to T1 plus T2 plus E. Here A is the length of the shank portion which is required to make the rivet head at the bottom. Okay. So when it is hammered from the bottom with the help of die, so it results in a top head and a bottom head and the shank. So it is the top head, it is the bottom head and it is the shank. So this is before hammering and this is after hammering. So this is the closing head, bottom head is the closing head. This is the diameter D of the rivet and A is kept 0.7 to 1.3 D for making the closed head. This is general idea about the shape of the rivet. Now we are moving to classification of the riveted joints. So riveted joints are classified as, classification of riveted joints. Riveted joints are classified. First one is lap joint, and second one is butt joint. In the lap joint, there is an overlapping of the plates. So let this is the first plate, and let this is the second plate. So this portion is the overlapping portion. This is the overlapping portion. And if I put a rivet over here, so let this is the rivet. So this is the top head of the rivet, and this is the closing head. So this is this lap joint. So if it is the front view, then top view will look like that. I extend this center line. So this is the first rivet, this is the second rivet, this is the third rivet, this is the fourth rivet. Okay, and this portion will not be visible. So I get a hidden line over here and a dark line over here because this part is visible. So this is a lap joint. This is the first plate, this is the second plate, this is the length of the first plate, this is the length of the second plate, this is L1 length of the first plate, L2 length of the second plate, and diameter is D. So how many rivets used in this joint? Rivet number 1, rivet number 2, 3 and 4. 4 rivets are used. So 4 rivets in one row. I have used 4 rivets in one row. So when there is a one row involved, it is single riveted lap joint. It is single riveted lap joint when one row is involved. When there is 2 row involved, it is known as double riveted lap joint, and similarly when there are 3 rows involved, it is known as triple riveted lap joint. So in the lap joint, there is a overlapping of the plates, and rivets are inserted in the rows, and if number of the rows is 1, it is single riveted, and if it is number of the rows are 2, then it is double riveted, and so on. Now come to the butt joint. So in the butt joint, there is no overlapping of the plates. Let this is the first plate, and let this is the second plate. They are kept in alignment with each other. This is the first plate, this is the second plate. They are kept in alignment with each other. So we are using a strap plate over them. So this is the strap plate. This is the strap plate, also known as cover plate. Also known as cover plate. So this is plate number 1, plate number 2 and a cover plate. And now I am inserting a row of rivet over here and a row of rivet over here. So this row is inserted between cover plate and the plate number 1, and this row is inserted between cover plate and plate number 2. So this is known as single riveted butt joint. It is not double riveted, it is single riveted. If there are 2 number of rows inserted between the cover plate and the plate number 1, then it is double riveted butt joint. And similarly, we can extend, if 3 rows are inserted between the cover plate and the plate number 1, then it is triple riveted butt joint. So lap joint can be further subdivided into single riveted, double riveted, triple riveted, and similarly butt joint can be further divided to single riveted, double riveted, and triple riveted. Okay, there is one more classification which is depends on the structure symmetry of the rivets. So there is one more classification. According to that, one is chain riveting and another one is zigzag riveting. Zigzag riveting. In the chain riveting, let this is the first row and let this is the second row and let this is the third row. There are 3 rows. So this is let row number 1, row number 2, row number 3. So what are you observing? Each rivets are just opposite to each other. Rivets in first row and the rivets in the second row are just opposite to each other. Rivets are lying just opposite to each other. Then this type of riveting is known as chain riveting. Okay. Now there is one more word important, terminology. Terminology. So first one is pitch of the rivets. So you can understand the distance from the 2 adjoining rivets, center to center distance between 2 adjoining rivets in the same row. Distance between the 2 adjoining rivets in the same row is known as pitch of the rivets. The distance between the 2 consecutive rows, this is row number 1, this is row number 2. The distance between 2 consecutive rows is known as PT. It is known as transverse pitch. So the second important point is transverse pitch. It is represented by PT, pitch is represented by P. So PT is the distance between the 2 consecutive rows. The distance between the second row and the third row is again PT. So this transverse pitch has many names. It is also known as back pitch and it is also known as row pitch. So don't confuse. These are synonyms. Number 3. One important point is margin. Margin. So for margin you can say this is the rivet center. So from rivet center to the edge of the plate. This point is edge of the plate. So distance between the center of the hole to the edge of the plate is known as margin. So margin is the distance represented by N. It is the distance between the center of the hole, center of the rivet to edge of the plate. Edge of the plate. So this is something I have told about chain riveting and the terminology. Now I am moving to zigzag riveting. So for zigzag riveting, the arrangement of the rivets is different. So let this is the first row. Now I am showing you the zigzag riveting. So in zigzag riveting, let this is the first row. These are the rivets in the first row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rivets in the first row. And this is the first row. Now there is a second row. In the second row, the rivets are lying just in between them. So this is the rivet over here. Rivets in between these 2 rivets is rivets here, here, and here. So rivets are lying in between the 2 rivets. So this is the second row, and in the third row again the rivets are lying in this way. Rivets are lying in this way, in this way. And in the fourth row again you can say they are lying in between them. So this type of riveting is known as zigzag riveting. So distance from here to here, it is pitch in the first row. Distance from here to here, it is pitch in the second row. Here to here, pitch in the third row. Here to here, pitch in the second row. They can be equal, they can be unequal also, depends on the pattern. So, the distance from this row to this row is again PT, it is transverse pitch, but if you see the diagonal, this is the rivet, this is the rivet, so this distance, diagonal distance is known as diagonal pitch. So, there is one more important word, diagonal pitch. So, diagonal pitch can be better understood by seeing the pattern of zigzag riveting. So, it is the diagonal distance from the center of the one rivet to the center of the another rivet in the consecutive rows. So, these four words are important: pitch, transverse pitch, margin and diagonal pitch. Okay, so this is all about the classification of the riveted joints. So, this ends this lecture. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.